Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Hey, Will.
Hey, bud.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Londra Villaria. And Mr. Toby Tomplake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Jake Madison here in about 15 minutes from right now. NBA draft is tomorrow. Pels reportedly are actively pursuing a trade into the top 10 of the draft. So we'll talk about that with Jake, what that may look like. Should they do it? We'll get into all that coming up here in about 15 minutes from right now. The New Orleans Saints offseason is over. They finished mandatory minicamp, OTA's mandatory minicamp. Now they have a break for about 6 weeks until they convene July 27th for training camp. Rookies and veterans will report on July 27th to the Saints facility in Metairie, and that's when they will begin training camp for the 2026 season. Year 2 of Tyler Shough, year 2 of Kellen Moore, and an increased degree of expectations. Before he left last week, Tyler Shough met with reporters, and he did talk about what the next 6 weeks are going to be like, and there's something mixed in here that I found really interesting.
Yeah, I'll be in Oregon, and then I'll be in San Diego. Drew's kind of helping set up our QB wide receiver throwing retreat, so we're getting all the guys to come down there and being able to just work and bond together. And then for me, it's just kind of continue to study the playbook and then just put my feet and my eyes in the right position. That's my whole focus. And right now, this OTA phase, you're not necessarily getting full speed padded reps, but, you're installing all these new plays, making sure we're getting everything right. And I think we've done a really good job of that as a team. And we've gotten closer. That's kind of the main thing. We just highlighted in the team meeting room all the fun things that we've done this whole offseason. And this is probably the tightest bunch that, all of us have been around.
So a lot of that was good to hear. Tight bond, install, all that sort of stuff during this offseason work. But the thing he mixed in there that I thought was great was talking about going to San Diego and that Drew, meaning Drew Brees, is helping them put together an offseason like quarterback receiver, I'm just call it a combine, but sort of a retreat, I think is the way he phrased it. And that's something that Brees would organize during the off seasons when he was playing. And what an incredible resource. Like, actually, let me, if I could, pull back, because sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees when we're talking about the Saints, if it's a team that you love. Fernando Mendoza, who just finished his rookie or his first minicamp in Las Vegas with the Raiders. Now, remember, the Raiders have Kirk Cousins there as well. But the Raiders also, one of their owners is Tom Brady. So Mendoza sits down after a practice with the Raiders' social media. This interview went on YouTube, and he was asked about the relationship and conversations and what he's learned from Tom Brady.
No, I usually like to keep the conversation between Tom and I private, but I do think
a philosophy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Approach.
I think that what he said is, as a quarterback, you need to be the most everything. You need to be the most competitive. You need to be the most leader. You need to have the most leadership. You need to be the toughest, mentally and physically. Yeah. And you got to embody all these things and lead by example before gaining that equity and respect by your teammates in order to lead effectively. And so that really resonated with me and the other quarterbacks.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much that actually matters. Tom Brady says you need to be a leader. Okay. I mean, Tom Brady says anything, you do it because he's the greatest quarterback ever. But I think the point is that Mendoza said at the beginning of that bite, I don't like to talk about, what Tom and I talk about. So clearly, I guess it's to say he has a Hall of Fame quarterback that he's the greatest quarterback ever that he's using as a sounding board, as a resource. Well, now bring that closer to home. It's pretty clear Tyler Shough has that with Drew Brees. If Brees is helping him organize quarterback and receiver retreats in San Diego where Drew lives. What an incredible resource for a young quarterback to have at this point in his career. And, I started thinking about this where going into year 2 with Tyler Shough and what's possible. And the thing that made me think of it was 2 recent examples. Number one is what we just saw in the AFC. Drake May just led the New England Patriots to the Super Bowl in his second year as in the NFL. And he wasn't the full-time starter as a rookie. Now, I'm not saying the Saints are going to the Super Bowl, but Drake May just did that in year 2. In a winnable division, a manageable schedule. Sound familiar? They had some breaks in the postseason. Bo Nix is injured when they played Denver, and they made it to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow. As a rookie, his knee exploded because his offensive line was atrocious. But he battled his way back, and in year 2, they got hot and went to a Super Bowl. And if anybody could have blocked Aaron Donald, Burrow would have hit Jamar Chase, and they would have won the Super Bowl. Those are second-year guys. And actually, so it sent me down this path of, what other players, quarterbacks, in their second year had, high-level success. I mean, guys like Donovan McNabb and Dante Culpepper certainly on the list. Carson Wentz was tracking to be the NFL MVP in his second year, and then he got hurt. And he was replaced by Nick Foles, also in his second year, who won the Super Bowl in 2013 in Philly. There are so many examples. The old adage, and it's cliche to say the biggest, the most improvement is year 1 to year 2. But it actually does make sense. Jared Goff was the first overall pick. His second year in the NFL, I hate to say it, but it's when they came to New Orleans in the NFC Championship game. Saints got no called. But Goff went to a Super Bowl in year 2 with the Rams. Tom Brady in 2001 was in his second season in the NFL when Drew Bledsoe got hurt and he led the Patriots to the Super Bowl that was played in New Orleans. That was year 2 of Tom Brady. Peyton Manning set the NFL rookie record for interceptions in 1998, and the Colts went 3-13. In 1999, he was the NFL MVP runner-up. Lamar Jackson, in his second season, ran for a quarterback record 1,200 yards. Patrick Mahomes, in his second season, got Kansas City to the AFC Championship game where they lost to Brady. There's older examples like Dan Marino, who went to the Super Bowl in 1984 in his second season, and then Kurt Warner is probably the greatest example of it back in 1999. In his second season, we know his sort of circuitous route in the NFL, but the greatest show on turf, and they won the Super Bowl, they won the MVP and all that sort of stuff. But the point is, I just rattled off a list of, a dozen quarterbacks who, in their second year, had these amazing parabolic run-ups. And I'm not telling you that I think that should be the expectation for Tyler Shough and these New Orleans Saints. What I do think, though, that Tyler Shough has in common with a lot of those, in many instances, quarterbacks who took over bad situations, but were great leaders and had a modicum of success, but had also spent that year over year building good teams around them. And I think when you look at New Orleans and what they've done in this offseason and committing to Tyler Shough, is they've gone and said, okay, well, let's protect him. You go spend on the best guard in free agency. Let's get him receivers. You use a top 10 pick to bring in a dynamic player like Jordan Tyson. And you went and fortified your defense a bit more as well. I don't know that this means the Saints are going to the Super Bowl. I'm certainly not predicting that. I'm not telling you that the Saints are gonna do what the Patriots did a year ago, or Nick Foles leading the Eagles in 2013 to a Super Bowl, or Brady in 2001. But I guess what I'm saying is there are enough examples even in recent NFL history, to suggest that if you get the right guy in the right situation, you can have that trampoline effect, that big bounce in year 2. And remember, a year ago, Tyler Shough wasn't even the starter. He was still, at this point, he was battling for the job with Spencer Rattler. Now he's had the entire offseason where it's unequivocally his. No one denies it. And they have invested the resources to build around him to give it an opportunity. I mean, when I think about who the Saints were throwing the football to in Week 18 a year ago, and you're looking at Kevin Austin and Audric Estime and Samori Toure, yeah, that's a thing. And now what they've built in the offseason, there is reason for optimism. I'm not pounding the drum as a giant homer telling you they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm just telling you, for the first time in half a decade, there's a reason to be optimistic. And there's plenty of illustrations and examples in recent NFL history to say, this could be a good year, man. They could win a bad division, get in the playoffs, and if you have the right draw and the ball bounces your way, maybe you go on a little bit of a run. It'd be exciting to see as the Saints head into this offseason. Got to go stay healthy, make the most of these next 6 weeks so they come to camp on July 27th, ready to roll. All right, it's After Further Review. We are glad to have you aboard with us here. We are brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics, OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Man, it's so exciting. If you missed it a week ago, our friends over at Our Lady of the Lake announced and unveiled the FMOL Health Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Institute, continuing to expand healthcare in our area. It doesn't matter if it's your primary care physician, if it's cancer, stroke, heart, pediatrics. Last week we had Drew over at the Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. He had to see a GI doctor. But the point is, no matter what it may be, what type of healthcare you may need, Our Lady of the Lake brings world-class healthcare right here at home. FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, and LSU. Together, we roar. All right, it's After Further Review, y'all. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. We're going to knock out a break. NBA Draft is tomorrow. Excited to have Jake Madison jump aboard with us from Locked On Pels next. The Pels going to trade into the top 10. It sure seems that way. Should they? We'll get Jake's thoughts on it next here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about Darren James because nobody's going to work harder to get your home sold faster for more money and give you a stress-free, enjoyable experience than Darren James. He's got that thing absolutely mastered. You see, at Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty, Darren demands it from everybody on their staff. Right? They use, I've told you this before, but they use the Disney model where if every employee at Disney, like if they see a child crying or if they drops an ice cream cone, they got to go get the child a new ice cream cone. Just nobody's allowed to have a bad time. That's the methodology Darren wants. When you look at surveys, moving is routinely ranked as one of the most stressful experiences people have. Darren and his team want to remove that stress and let you have an enjoyable experience as you move on to a new phase of life. And so often that's what happens when you're moving into a new home. It should be exciting. And Darren wants that to happen. He wants you to have results. So you need to sell your home. You need Darren James. Agent225.com. Better coverage for less money. Say it every day. With Insurance Network of Louisiana, that's what they do. They shop independently for free to see if they can get you better coverage for less money. We're talking home, auto, umbrella, flood, all of it, and business insurance. I'm going to tell you, real talk just for a minute. Business owners, come on, gather around for a minute. We all understand that when you're looking at a balance sheet, every line item matters. And sometimes you have hidden expenses that you just forget about. Money you have invested into other processes or things that you just haven't looked at in a long time. Auto draft, not that dissimilar from our life. Your business insurance could be part of that. Insurance Network of Louisiana saves businesses tons of money every month and every year by looking at your policies to see if they can get you better coverage with top-rated companies for less money. Let Insurance Network of Louisiana shop for free so you can save. 293-0450, 293-0450.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Can't wait to see what the Pels do with the 8th overall pick. Oh, wait. They traded it. Jake Madison is with us, Locked On Pels. Draft is right around the bend, and the Pels apparently are trying to get pretty aggressive here, according to reports. Hey, thanks for the time as always, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on here, Matt.
Yep, it's our pleasure. Okay, let's start, if we could, go retroactive and then come back, because obviously we know that the Pels traded their pick a year ago. It landed Derek Queen, which clearly they've hit on, but they didn't top 10 protect that pick. Jake, I don't want to do this revisionist history thing, but remind me, is that something that was even feasible? Could they have done that a year ago when they made this trade?
Yeah, who really knows? But we've seen that the Pelicans clearly liked Derek Queen. It sounded like kind of the rest of the league knew they wanted Derek Queen. And that probably loses you a bunch of leverage in negotiations here. So maybe they could have put some more protections on it. I don't know if they would have gotten top 10 protection. Could you have gotten top 4? Yeah, maybe. And the pick didn't end up anywhere there. So I don't know if it matters either way, but I think you look at the process to acquiring Derek Queen and that trade, and there were definitely flaws with it.
Okay, what flaws?
I think it's one of those things where you've got to realize the value of first-round picks and the direction that this team wants to go in. And I think one of the things is if you're adding 2 rookies drafted in the lottery, you saw it this past year. It's just kind of historically been the case in the NBA. Rookies don't help you win. So if this is a franchise that is trying to win games, as they were last year with Joe Dumars in his first year there, you've got to understand that while Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen are going to be good players in the long term, you're not going to become a winning team overnight with those guys added into it. And so because of that, and losing 26 games still, and you don't have a pick in this draft, it feels like last year was just a waste. Like, what did you have to gain from that sort of thing? And so I think you've got to look at it in the overall process of building a team up as there being flaws in it, not just with that individual trade.
All right, Jake, when you look at the roster as it is right now, part of me looks and goes, all right, well, you can't just run it back with the same squad and expect different results. So you got to do something different. First start there. Does that make sense? Do they need to shuffle the deck a bit here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this team knows it. We've heard from Joe Dumars recently saying this team won 26 games. We can't be married to any specific players. And you're hearing that kind of play out with some of the rumors and stuff that I can confirm even right now. At the trade deadline last year, they were basically shutting down any calls around Trey Murphy, around Herb Jones, around Zion Williamson. They were just not open for business, essentially, back in February. But now we're hearing they are, at least taking calls on Trey Murphy. They are taking calls on Herb Jones. I don't want to say they're actively shopping either of them because I think that would be incorrect, but they're listening to trade offers. And that's a pretty big step from where they were before. And so I think they realize this team as constructed just was not good enough last year, and they realize they need to make some big changes. They need to decide if they are going to go through a rebuild and kind of embrace the more youthful timeline, building around Fears and Queen, or if they're still in the win now timeline, which is prioritizing a Zion Williamson. And I think they don't actually know what they're trying to do yet. I think they're trying to let the market set that a little bit. If you could get a guy like Jaylen Brown in, even if you have to move a Trey Murphy, that's a win-now kind of move. But we've also heard, and I haven't reported on this, but they've been talking to Atlanta a little bit about the 8th overall pick, which is ironically the Pels' old pick,
right,
in a potential Trey Murphy trade. And if you are at a top 10 pick to this team, we just learned rookies aren't going to help you win right away. So if they do that, are they committing to that youthful timeline? And I think they're kind of just seeing what the market's going to play out.
Should they be in win-now mode?
No, they should not. I've been pretty clear on how I feel about this over at the podcast for the past year. They should not be trying to win now. The West is hyper competitive. And when you look at this team, look, it just hasn't worked in the 7-year Zion Williamson era, as simple as that. And, in the 2 times they've made the playoffs, he hasn't been healthy to play in either of them during his time here in New Orleans. If it was going to work, it feels like it would have worked by now, and it simply hasn't. With how competitive the Western Conference is, Oklahoma City's not going anywhere. The Spurs just made the finals, and they're one of the youngest teams in the league. You still have Nikola Jokic, right? The Lakers are the Lakers. You're not going to be breaking into that top 4 anytime soon. So is it maybe a better opportunity to trade away some of the value players you have? Trey Murphy's going to get you multiple first-round picks. Herb Jones will at least get you 1 first-round pick. In my opinion, it's better to sell high on those type of players and go through a rebuild. Rebuilding's not fun. You lose games, but at least you try and kind of sell youth and the potential of what these players could be versus trying to just be, at best, a play-in tournament in the Western Conference.
Would you rather Trey Murphy or the reported two first-round picks he might net?
It depends on what you're trying to do. I think if you're trying to rebuild, those first-round picks are more valuable in what this team needs right now. So I would certainly say, my take on it is this. If you're trading away Trey Murphy, you're likely going to make the team worse. So if you're going to make the team worse, commit to being worse and commit to the youthful timeline here. You can still try and win games while you're building around the young guys. It's likely not going to happen, but maybe they surprise. But I've been kind of at the point of just tear it down and build this up again, because clearly the group they've had has just not been able to get it done consistently. And that's definitely what this franchise needs. They just need more consistency when it comes to playoff appearances, and you'll see a surge of support for it. You can sell the fan base on youth and these young guys, and I think that's what they need to be doing.
Jake Madison's with us, Locked On Pelicans podcast. Subscribe, podcast, YouTube, either. It's always free, Locked On Pelicans. He's at NOLA Jake if you want to give him a follow. Real quick, Jake, one more as we go back. They weren't open. The front office wasn't open to trades at the deadline. What has changed?
The record. Simple as that. They won 26 games. You can't hide from that. This was a team that had one of its healthiest seasons in years as a franchise, and they still weren't good. You can't run from it. The data, the evidence is right there in front of you, and them having a losing season, I think, has made it sink in a little bit. They were really excited about bringing in someone like Jordan Poole. He played terrible for the team when he was healthy. It's just enough evidence that it seems like maybe they can't delude themselves into saying, well, we could win. I can tell you one of the reasons why they weren't trading anybody at the trade deadline was they still felt really good about making the playoffs, not just the play-in tournament, making the actual playoffs. You'll remember they had a 5-game winning streak, and they were feeling really good about themselves and where they were, and then they promptly followed that up with a 9-game losing streak. And this team still finishing 10 games out of the final play-in spot, 11 games, even worse, 11 games out of the final play-in spot. You can't run from that. You can't just convince yourself, oh, we're so close if only we had health. You had a healthy Zion Williamson, and it just didn't work. And I think they are dealing with the reality that, the roster just isn't competitive enough in the Western Conference, even if individually you like some of the pieces and some of the players that you have.
All right, Jake, I want to scratch a few more items off the list. You mentioned Jaylen Brown. We've heard that rumor out there. Do you think a trade with Boston for Jaylen Brown is feasible?
Yeah, I think it's feasible. It really depends on Milwaukee. The way I would envision that would likely be a 3-team deal where Giannis goes to the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown comes to New Orleans, and then, whether it's Trey Murphy or other picks end up going to Milwaukee. And I think that's how you would see that deal get done. So it's, right now the entire trade market in the NBA is being held up by the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis, and whether he goes to the Boston Celtics or the Miami Heat. And then you'll see things kind of quickly fall into place. But I could see a world where the Pelicans give up another future draft pick along with Trey Murphy to get a Jaylen Brown kind of level player who is an all-NBA guy and in theory makes your team better.
Okay, if let's say it's not Brown and they make a trade back into the top 10. You mentioned Atlanta at 8, which is a trade back for your own pick. But if it is the 8th pick or to get into the top 10, we've all heard Ament from Tennessee. Is that the target, or is there someone else?
I think he's one of the targets. This team definitely, tends to fall in love with certain players and certain draft picks. And I think he's a guy that, they're really looking at. He fits Troy Weaver, who's not, his title is not general manager, but essentially the general manager of the team, fits the type of player profile from where he grew up in terms of what he's looking for growing up in Virginia. So I definitely think he's a guy. And look, he's 6'10", and he has all of the athletic tools you look for in a modern NBA wing. And looks like he can defend both defend and play offense. So he's a two-way player. He can defend multiple positions. I also think they're looking at the guys from Michigan, right? Morris Johnson Jr. is definitely a prototypical NBA big. If you just simply want to add size, Mara from Michigan is a guy that you could easily put into your starting lineup and all of a sudden get rebounding and rim protection, two things the Pelicans have been lacking for the past couple of years. So I think they could see a way to add to the core of Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen with a complementary piece at the top of this draft in a number of different directions.
How does Jamal Mosley's style change or affect who they might be targeting or what the direction might be on Tuesday?
You know, do you mean that in terms of who they might draft or the type of? Let me answer it this way. You know, I think that can mean multiple things here.
I left it wide open intentionally, Jake.
Okay, just making sure
No.
here, Matt. You know, I think when you look at Jamal Mosley, one of the reasons they hired him was they really liked how he molded that very young Orlando team into being a defensive first team with a clear identity. And look, took them pretty far. You know, Mosley is definitely a good coach. When they kind of explained that, I wondered how that fits into this Pelicans team. Because when you looked at Orlando when he started in there were guys in their first, second, and third years in the league. They were young. Those guys were no older than 22 years old. You look at the Pelicans and you see Trey Murphy at 25, 26, 27, Zion Williamson above 25, right? This is not like a young team looking for, you know, a coach to mold them and who they could become. These guys are largely established, and we know who they are. So I also do think if you're looking for Mosley to kind of mold a young team and do what he did in Orlando, trading away a Trey Murphy, trading away a Herb Jones, potentially trading away a Zion Williamson and filling it with guys that are 22 years and younger kind of fits. So I also do think that kind of pivoting to Mosley to kind of be the head coach of a bit of a rebuild does make some sense to me. And that's why I definitely see that they are trying to trade into the first round and ideally into the top 10 to get one of the players that they are targeting. So I think that's more likely than them trading for a Jaylen Brown level player.
Best guess, what do you think happens here in the next, let's call it 30 hours?
You know, I think you see a Trey Murphy trade. It just kind of feels inevitable at this point, and frankly, he's the best trade asset that the Pelicans have. And as you hear these rumors coming out and from the conversations that I've been having, they seem like they're just trying to get more draft picks. And if they didn't learn the lesson from last year that those draft picks won't help you win right away, which you would hope they would have gotten that lesson, it just points to a rebuild, I think. And so I feel like the Pelicans are kind of finally starting to commit to the direction that they probably need to go in, that they've been reluctant to embrace.
He is Jake Madison, Locked On Pelicans. Follow him at NOLA Jake. There's never a better time than right now with the draft right around the bend here to go follow Jake. Again, YouTube or podcast, Locked On Pelicans. Make sure you're subscribed. It's always free. Hey, man, we always appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me on, Matt.
Absolutely. Jake Madison. He deserves a sub because that dude puts out daily New Orleans Pelicans content. Bro, that ain't easy to do when you're covering a team that wins 26 games. Daily Pelicans content. Guy's the best. He's thorough. He's awesome. Always love talking ball with Jake. So go follow him. Locked On Pelicans or at NOLA Jake on Twitter. Excuse me. Get a sip of my Evermore. Something I could do if I was at the Dallas airport because they carry it there. They actually have national distribution. You can go all over the country and buy Evermore. But not at the New Orleans airport or Baton Rouge. Come on, y'all. Local Louisiana product. EVA MOR. I challenge you all the time when you're going through the store, if you buy bottled water, grab Evermore. If you want to do a side-by-side taste test, trust me, you'll love it. It's delicious, clean, straight from the source, natural artesian water. Healthier alternative for you, your family. You want to drink something real, like straight from an artesian well right into the bottle, you want Evermore. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. Drink Evermore and take a picture and send it to me. I love when you'll send me pictures or tweet me pictures of Evermore out in the wild. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. We're halfway home on this Monday edition of AFR. Baseball Tigers are set to have a couple of portal targets on campus this week. We'll get to that here in about half an hour from right now. When we come back, though, I do want to dive into two things. We'll have time to knock out two topics. One, it's been a little bit of it has been a roller coaster a couple of weeks here in the portal in the month for Beth Toreen and the softball squad. I think it's a very clear indication athletic department-wise of something that's happening. And there's another lawsuit the NCAA just lost today. I'll explain next at AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. You know what to do. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Follow him at Get Gordon on any of the social medias, of course. Or you can go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Always creative with the marketing. So Gordon, I don't know if you've seen it, but the new Gordon billboard and social posts, the World Cup Gordon post. He's got the soccer ball and his dogs have jerseys on. Excuse me, kits, soccer kits on. Listen, he likes to have fun with marketing. We all know that. But when it's time to get serious and represent you, if you've been injured and getting what you're entitled to, Gordon and his team, there's nobody better. They're all over the state of Louisiana with local offices all over the state. So no matter where you are, there's someone nearby that can help. Just go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or call the 8s. 888-8888, 888-8888. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
You know, there's an uncomfortable reality about this era of college athletics, which is that you can't be elite in everything. You can compete and you can be good. You can't be elite in everything. Unequivocally, there are no exceptions. You got to decide what you want to be great at, because there are a finite amount of resources, both in revenue share and then what you can generate in true third-party NIL. And so everyone is going to invest the max amount in football because it is the sport that drives the bus. It is the engine. If you do not have a winning, profitable football team, everything else falls after that. Men's basketball is the other opportunity to turn a profit. So those two are naturally going to get the lion's share of the money. The question is, after that, where do your resources go? And at a place like LSU, it's challenging because you have been good in so many sports for so long, and you do have elite championship-level coaches in multiple sports that expect to have the resources to win championships. Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, Jay Clark, understand that. So all that to say, it's been interesting because I've gotten a lot of questions lately about Beth Tarina and LSU softball. And understand that softball isn't necessarily the most mainstream sport, and people will sort of casually observe. They like that the team does really well and want it to go to OKC and win championships. And Beth Tarina has been at LSU for a long time and is the winningest coach in program history now. And she's been on the show, and I think the world of Beth, candidly, both professionally and personally. So just, moment of disclosure. The reality is I just rattled off football, basketball, women's basketball, baseball, gymnastics, and then you get softball. That's 6. When you're 6th in the pecking order, you just don't have the resources. And you can roll your eyes at that and shrug your shoulders and say that's not an excuse, but I'm not making an excuse. It's the explanation. I mean, LSU in this portal cycle has had 8 players go into the transfer portal. Now, one of them is Kylie Edwards, who went in and then left the portal and came back. And now she's withdrawn. And you've added Mickey Winchell from Notre Dame. And a few conversations today. I think they should add a couple of more players this week via the portal, so be on the lookout for that. But all that to say, when you don't have the total buy-in to retain your roster, what is inevitably going to happen is the programs that are committing those resources to softball are going to cherry pick the best players in the country. And I'm talking about Texas and Texas Tech and Oklahoma. You know who they are. You know the usual suspects. And LSU is not one of them. So LSU is a program that can go recruit great high school players and get them here. And if they play well enough, you're going to have the best programs in the country try to poach them. Jaden Heavner. It's the reason your best pitcher is at Texas Tech right now. They paid her a lot more money than you could. So she took it. Hard to blame her in this era. But that's the reality that's facing Beth Torino or anybody that would coach LSU. Because as much as you want to be elite in everything, it is not possible. It's not. It's not possible. You have to pick what you want to be elite in, like compete for national championships. And that's the reality facing that program right now. So, and you say, well, how do you fix it? Well, how do you fix it? Well, you invest more money to retain your roster or go get elite portal players. And if you can actually put the shoe on the other foot, like look at LSU baseball. Look at Bino Waters. Notre Dame recruits Bino Waters. He goes to South Bend, hits 360, a couple of great seasons. What happens? Portal. Why? Because programs like LSU are going to pay him. See, LSU is part of the haves in a lot of other sports. But you got to choose what you want to be great in. LSU's chosen they want to be great in football and men's basketball. And you got to be great in baseball. And Kim Mulkey has her base of support that are going to allow her to be really competitive in women's basketball and compete for championships. It's the way it's always going to be. And right now, it is really tough because LSU softball does get some rev share, but that and NIL is not enough. It is not shown to be enough to be able to fend off the wolves, the poachers, who are coming to take your best players. Like LSU is doing in baseball and football and all the other sports, right? But that's the uncomfortable reality right now in college sports, which is it is not possible to be national championship elite in everything because it's no longer good enough to go work really hard and sell your program and recruit a bunch of great high school athletes and get them here and keep them here for 4 years and develop and build a championship culture. Because if you get a great athlete here and they play well for a year or two, here come the poachers. And that's not a criticism because LSU is that program in other sports. That is what LSU just got Bino Waters. And they went and got the best player at Texas State. And they got the best player at Tulane. And they got the best pitcher at Gonzaga. Like, that's what LSU's doing. So it's not a criticism. It's the reality of what the world is right now. So unless you find some magical font of cash, you got a billionaire booster who's willing to pay $1 million for a pitcher. It's your reality. And you got to accept that's just what it's going to be. Unless and until the rules or something changes that levels the playing field financially. But the thing that works for LSU in other sports is going to work against it in some sports. And that's not just an LSU problem. That's universal. You have to choose what you want to be elite in. And you're seeing that right now with the softball program. It's after further review. Glad you're with us. You can always email us, tweet us, or text. You can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, shawbillstire.com. Man, vacation season's here. Y'all, we're hitting the road to the beach in a couple of weeks. Our annual beach vacation will be there around the 4th of July. If you're hitting the road to the beach or the mountains in Tennessee, maybe it's baseball, travel ball season, maybe you're hitting the road with your kiddos this summer, make sure if you do, before you do, you need to bring the vehicle to go get it tuned up, checked, or you need new tires, bring it to Shawbills, where they'll always sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they'll keep you coming back because they treat you like family. You need the oil change? Shawbills. Tires rotated? Shawbills. Check engine light, brakes, squeaking, tires shaking a little bit, whatever's going on with your vehicle, take it to Shawbills, where they'll treat you like family. And, of course, if it's time to change those tires, they'll sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills! We keep you rolling. Northwestern, that Northwestern in Evanston, not Northwestern in Natchitoches, Northwestern in Evanston. Their starting center, Jackson Carcello, he got an injunction on Monday, makes him eligible for 2026. Yep, got an additional year of eligibility, had an ankle injury in 2022, redshirted, said basically it was the ankle injury that kept him out. The NCAA said, nope, you already took a redshirt year. So he went to court, got an injunction. I think it's hilarious, though, because even elite academic institutions like Northwestern, they have lost their way. I'll say it again. The problem is not that there are no rules. The problem is that schools don't want to follow the rules. Because if you can get your fifth-year senior eligible for another year, it's lucrative for him who doesn't have an NFL future, and it's better for your program. Even these distinguished academic institutions are showing you it's all about wins and losses. Oh, by the way, do you know who Northwestern's offensive coordinator is this year? Do you know? Alondra?
No.
Chip Kelly.
Oh.
Got him a starting center today. What a weird career arc for Chip Kelly.
I was about to say interesting.
Have you ever looked at Chip Kelly's career arc? It is unbelievable. Like, it's one of those, like, the only rival I would say about, like, Rich Rodriguez, and Rich Rod never had, like, an NFL stop like Chip Kelly did as a two-time NFL head coach. Anyway. All right, it's after further review. We'll wrap up hour number 2 with Tigers and the Pros next.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Goodwood, men's sexual wellness, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Hey, remember, if you want to feel like your younger self, Goodwood can help. If you got ED issues, they can help with multiple ED treatments, hormone replacement therapy, simple blood test. I mean, they'll take a vial of blood. Takes you less than 5 minutes. They'll get in there, take a vial of blood, send it off to the lab within half a day. They'll have the results, and they'll let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. It can change the way you feel every single day. And then, of course, peptide therapy. You've heard about peptides. Everyone talks about peptides now. Everyone promotes them. Goodwood has been at the forefront. They've been selling peptides. Told you I take peptides, NAD+, BPC 157, Sermorelin. There's so many different treatments that can help you accentuate the way you feel and the way your body performs every single day. You want to learn more about how you can regain your youthful energy? yourgoodwood.com. Check them out online. They're on Drusilla in Baton Rouge. yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
I got this CD from Columbia House, circa 1996 or 1997. Do you know what Columbia House is, Alondra?
I don't actually.
It was one of the mail-in, like you'd send them a penny and they'd send you like 10 CDs.
Like what Netflix used to be? They used to mail you the DVDs.
Did you have to return the DVD to Netflix?
I think so.
You did, yeah. Like the Red Box thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you get to keep these, though. You spend like a penny and they'd send you like 10 CDs. But the problem is, once you're in, if you didn't pick your CD every month, then they just kept sending you a CD. It's like, wait, I don't want to do it.
Like, I already have it.
And you couldn't go, well, no, a different CD.
Oh.
Like from the catalog.
Okay.
It's when people bought CDs. Anyway.
I still buy CDs.
Wow, that's a choice right there.
I like physical media.
White Town is the name of this band. The name of the album I'd rather not say on air. Are you looking at the name of the album?
I think so. It doesn't seem that.
No.
Okay, then I'm not.
You're not looking at the album.
Nope.
The name of the song is Your Woman.
Right.
But no, that's not the name of the album. The name of the album is something that when it showed up in the mail at the Scone household, and I'm sure Mama Scone saw, it's like, this is going right back, is where this is going. Anyway. Okay, Alondra. Tigers and the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Okay, so I'm going to get this one out the way real quick because I feel he's not necessarily a Tiger in the Pro, but I feel like it should be mentioned. Coach John Brady, he was inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame.
No, he was not. That's this weekend because I'm
or he's going to be inducted into
actually
but still,
doing the on
we'll
stage.
mention it.
I'm doing the on-stage interviews.
Oh, shout out. Well, he's going to be inducted. Brady led LSU to 2006 Final Four. So Tell Moose already took care of that one.
I mean, Alondra, not gonna, like, to be honest, like, the announcement of the election came like 6 months. It was like August.
Okay, well, it's happening this weekend
It is.
to remind
It's happening
everybody.
this coming
I
week.
saw him post about it, so let me just give him a shout out.
Okay.
Angel Reese became the fastest WNBA player to reach 1,000 rebounds.
Let's go!
Yeah, third quarter
Okay.
offensive rebound and the Dreams win over Fever on Saturday.
man.
It took her 79 games to get it. Previously, Tina Charles held the record at 89 games. Real quick, Paul Skeens going to Paul Skeens. 6 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 4 hits, 2 earned runs versus the Rockies in Colorado.
Let's go.
Also, Sam Burns finished second in the U.S. Open. Finished 3 under par behind Wyndham Clark.
I was pulling for him.
Me too. Should I play it?
Yeah, he just said he was really proud.
Oh, wait, no, don't play it. Yeah, we're only
Oh.
You had to finish by saying that's Tigers.
Oh, yeah, those Tigers and pros.
Thank you, Alondra. It's
You're
after further review. We're short on time, so we'll play the Sam Burns cut. It was one of those sort of, on Father's Day, get you in the cockles of the heart, the sub-cockles. Talking about his dad, what his dad told him after the round. We'll get to that. All right, it's after further review. SportsCenter's coming up. Get you caught up on national headlines. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. Windows, door siding, shutters, and shades. ReliefWindows.com. Baseball transfer portal stuff after SportsCenter.
AFR.
On Friday, we announced Drew Brees as our new partner at Parrish Construction and Roofing, and the announcements just keep coming because today we are proud to announce that at Parrish Construction and Roofing, we and our new partner, Drew Brees, are opening up a contest to give away a fortified roof to 2 lucky Louisiana homeowners. 1 in the Baton Rouge area, 1 in the New Orleans area. You can get all of the info at our website at parishbuilt.com, 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 or on our social media. How you can enter to win a fortified roof if you're not familiar. Fortified roofs effectively add extra layers of security that if you do have roof damage, it protects against water damage in the interior of your home. It'll help lower your insurance deductibles in many instances, so in your insurance rates. So you can learn more about how you can win a fortified roof from Parrish Construction and Roofing. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know, including our new partner, Drew Brees, at parishbuilt.com.